The little boy was just about to take off when he crashed into the restaurant's wine cabinet. Angrily, he knocked over the cabinet worth millions. Then, he threw the restaurant's priced Lucky Cat on the floor, shattering it to pieces. To everyone's surprise, his father didn't scold him at all. Instead, he said the boy was just expressing his true nature. Hearing this, the boy became even more reckless, unaware that they were about to pay a heavy price. The woman thought her CEO husband would immediately cover the cost for her first love and his son, but to her shock, the man now had nothing but hatred for her. Turns out the man had been reborn, and the woman was his wife. In his past life, he was a billionaire and her most loyal follower. When she said she was sick and needed a kidney, he donated his without hesitation, only for her to give it to her first love instead. She even schemed to steal all his assets and ran off with her first love without a second thought. In utter despair, the man coughed up blood. Perhaps heaven felt his overwhelming hatred. In the next moment, he actually woke up 5 years in the past. At this time, his wife's first love had just returned to the country. The woman invited them to live in their home. Watching the father and son behave like tyrants, the man made a silent vow. This life, he would make them pay back 100-fold. At dinner, the little boy rudely picked through the dishes. The man finally spoke up to stop him, but the boy sneered, complaining the food was disgusting. The first love joined in with sarcastic remarks. The man laughed coldly, saying they were freeloading in his house, and still had the nerve to complain about the food. Did they have no shame? His wife instantly flew into a rage, saying the boy had just come back from abroad, and wasn't used to local food. She even bragged that her first love was a Harvard PhD, and said it was the man's honor to share a meal with them. She even demanded he apologize in front of everyone. The man coldly refused, told them to eat if they wanted, or leave if they didn't. His wife couldn't take the humiliation, and said she'd take the first love and his son to a Michelin restaurant. The man sneered and said nothing. Memories of his past life flashed through his mind. The boy had caused a scene in a restaurant. He had to pay for all their damage, and even gave his wife a $1 billion Heart of the Ocean necklace to cheer her up. But now, with a second chance, he swore he'd never spoil them again. He immediately booked a restaurant for them, then called his lawyer, froze all of his wife's bank cards, and began preparing a divorce agreement that would leave her with nothing. When they arrived at the restaurant and found out the man had booked second-class seats, the first love immediately complained, saying he and his son were used to sitting by the window in first class, but since it wasn't available, they'd just have to settle. Unexpectedly, the little boy said second-class seats were for dogs. He cursed the man and stormed off. His wife refused to back down, and demanded the waiter upgrade them to the supreme seats. Then, they ordered every single expensive dish on the menu, but then they noticed the boy had disappeared. He was busy knocking over another wine cabinet, destroying hundreds of bottles of 1982 Lafite worth millions. When his parents found out, they didn't scold him. They even praised him for doing a good job, saying kids from abroad just like to express themselves. Worst case, they just pay for the damages. The manager rushed over and said the wine was worth $7.77 million. The woman didn't care, even said the number was unlucky, insisting they round it up to $8 million. The manager immediately smiled in delight. The boy pushed it even further, smashed the Lucky Cat at the front desk, which was worth another $2 million, bringing the total damages to exactly $10 million. But the woman casually said, just pay it all together. What she really meant